I call this meeting to order. Can we please stand and salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jamie, could you read the sunshine statement, please?
Be advised that proper notice has been given by Township Council in accordance with the Sunshine Law in the following manner. Notice advertised in the Burlington County Times and Camden Courier Post on January 8, 2025, and posted on the bulletin board on the same date.
Would you call the roll call, please?
Mr. Morrow?
Here.
Mr. Zito?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Jenny?
Here.
Here.
First up is ordinance on first reading, ordinance 2025-01, calendar year 2025, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A.4-45.14. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Got a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
Mrs. Apiadu?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye. All right, next up, resolution 2025-25, appointment of Environmental Resolution, Inc. as Township Engineer. Can I have a motion, please? Seeing no motion, the resolution is failed? Okay, resolution fails as of no motion. Next, the consent agenda. Council, you've had a chance to look at the consent agenda. Any questions on the consent agenda? Can we get a motion on the consent agenda, please?
Motion.
I'll second. Roll call?
Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
Mrs. Apiadu?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye. All right, next up, we have public comment. Rules of decorum. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and you will be recognized. At that time, you may approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. All remarks shall be through the council president. An individual speaker shall be allotted 5 minutes. All statements are a part of the public record, both written and video recorded, and cannot be redacted. Anybody wish to speak, please raise your hand. Oh, I need a motion to go into public, I'm sorry.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, floor is up to the public. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, maybe. Where's the IT person? There you going? All right. Don't touch what?
Whatever you're ready.
Whenever I'm ready? All right, we're on. Mr. Morrow. Oh, I'm sorry. Spitch, William J., 518 Brown Street, Delran, New Jersey, the Cambridge section. Starting from, let's see, we're going from left to right. Mr. Morrow, how many projects are now in progress with CME?
As of this moment,
As of right now, as of the beginning of this year?
I would,
Address all questions to the council president.
Council President, what are the current jobs in progress with CME?
I do not have a list of every single project that's in the works.
How many are, to the best of your knowledge, how many are in progress?
Joe, would you like to field that? I do have some list here, but Joe would have a more comprehensive list.
I think it would be safe to say we have at least 20 projects either ongoing or in the design stage or nearing completion.
And, Mr. Belina, what is the projected time frame on these in the year 2025 going forward for the next 4 years?
For the next 4 years.
For the next 4 years, yes, sir.
For what, projects with CMA?
CME, yes, sir.
I would venture a guess with everything that's currently been, for which they've been engaged, that probably see many of them done within the next 18 months. There are a few that will probably go on for 3 and 4 years. Very few, though.
All right.
Mostly sewer projects.
Will that list be made available on your site?
Yes, it will.
All right.
Sure, it's a public, yes. Yes,
It's a yes or no answer. Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Carry on.
Will do.
So you don't know, Mr. Morrow, you said you don't know how many projects are actually in progress.
That's correct, Richard.
Mrs., what is that?
Could you please
Apu?
address to the council?
Oh, I have to go to you first.
Yeah, that's just the rules of.
Okay. Mr. Council, may I speak?
So, basically, you're trying to grill the council on it.
I'm not grilling anybody. I'm asking a question, a yes or no question, sir.
Okay,
All right? May I proceed now?
sure.
Mrs. Apadu? All right, how many projects do you know, are you aware of?
I would defer to the,
You're
administrator-
deferring?
To the administrator.
Okay, so you have no knowledge of, you're deferring to Mr. Belina?
He's the expert.
Yes,
I
ma'am,
would-
he's the expert, right?
I would defer to
Okay,
him.
all right. Moving down, is that, back to you, sir, may I approach Mr. Smith now?
You can ask a general question,
All
yeah.
right, same question, sir. Do you know how many projects are currently in action?
Yeah, I believe what Mr. Belina has stated is most accurate.
I didn't quite get that. Could you speak up, sir?
Yes, I said that what Mr. Belina stated,
Whatever Mr. Belina stated.
20 projects that
All
are
right.
either in progress or,
But you personally do not know how many projects are currently in progress?
I just gave you a response. I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Jenny?
Mr. Spitch,
Mr. Jenny?
I don't count the number of projects we're working on. It's up to our engineer and our business administrator to manage those, and that's what they do. So I concur with Mr. Belina's answer.
Okay, all right. And you represent our district? What district?
I'm a councilman at large. I represent
All
the
right.
whole township.
Thank you. Sir, how about you?
10 pages.
15, there's 15 pages, and on those 15 pages, that contains how many projects?
Roughly somewhere around 20.
20, all right.
But to me to say exactly how many, I
Okay, very well,
glanced
sir.
at the 15
All right.
pages.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate that. I have a minute and 15. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice night.
You betcha. Anyone else like to reach the podium? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. Chris Adrian, 55 Springcrest Drive in Summer Hill. I have a couple questions. My first is a procedural question. What does it mean that nobody chose to vote on this change? What does that mean?
Basically, the council didn't want to move that resolution.
So you're keeping the status quo?
I will defer to our attorney, but my understanding is that if that resolution goes down, then CME would stay in place. Correct.
Okay. Now, my understanding is these positions are under the purview of the mayor with advice and consent of the council. However, from all of your responses that you just made, it appears that all of you are saying you really don't know what CME is doing, that you're leaving all that under Mr. Belina's guidance. Now, it is common when there is a change in administration in corporate America for consultants to be changed to the new administration. We have a change here in our leadership as mayor, and it is his prerogative to choose the engineer. And by deferring to Mr. Belina, you are not doing your job. So the question is, why are you not willing to bring this to discussion and vote? If you're going to say, well, CME is in progress on this, everything they have done is work product that belongs to this community. It's our work product. We've paid for it. If we have not paid for it, that's problematic. And that is a question for Mr. Belina if we have not. It is our work product. We have a right to change, and it is common to do so. Now, we have issues such as stormwater issues that have been going on for years, decades, that have not been addressed. I have stood up here and mentioned things that I know for a fact were not done appropriately environmentally by CME, which puts us at risk. So they have shown us that they are either not advising us properly, or we, as a town council and an administrator, are not listening to them, which means they are not being forceful enough. I think this is doing a disservice to both the voters in this town, the residents in this town, and our newly elected mayor, not to consider his choice, or to have open debate about why you're not considering his choice. What happened here was not fair to the voters, nor was it fair to our mayor, nor was it fair to the recommended engineer. I'm disappointed, very disappointed. I could sit here again and list other things that I have seen that this engineering firm has not done appropriately. I'm a constituent. I am not a professional engineer, and yet I have this knowledge that can say this to you. So I certainly hope you will go back and reconsider and vote for who our mayor recommends. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else? I'll go to the lady in, Pat? Yes.
Pat Pomerantz, 21 Alden Avenue. May I ask why no one wanted to put that resolution out? Why?
Well, it did get read, it just didn't get moved.
Why?
The council.
Why?
The council.
Do they not?
I have, listen, just ask me something. If you
I'm
just
sorry.
want your
Go
5
ahead.
minutes, I'll
I
let you go.
apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize, I just, we've had discussions over this, and I have a statement I'm going to read in my report that goes through why I believe we should keep CME. The rest of the council will have that opportunity in their reports to do as the same. But we have discussed the fact that we do believe at this time CME is the right option, and we want them to work with the new mayor and get a year under the belt with the new mayor, okay? And I'll elaborate more on that in my report. But while we appreciate the mayor wanting to invoke a change, right? It's his prerogative. We also represent the whole town, all 17,000 people. And at the end of the day, we have an obligation to all of them. And I'll expand on more of the track record of CME and everything like that. And that's just, I'm not going to speak for the rest of the council, but when we put it out, nobody wanted to move on that resolution. That's the simplest way I could put it. And you know what? Whenever there's these issues, there's going to be some people that are disappointed, some people that are happy, some people that are ambivalent, all right? But that's just the nature of what's going on here right now. And it's no knock on ERI, Pannoni, Alimo, or anyone else.
So just to add to what the previous lady said, she talked about the stormwater. We can talk about, we won't, but we could talk about the flooding down in Riverside Park that CME has been working on with a variety of council people for over 13 years. Okay? If I had the time, I would go back through all the minutes for the last 14 or 15 years, and we could add up what we've paid CME to date, which has got to be millions of dollars. I think it's time to allow the new mayor the opportunity to succeed in what he campaigned on. He promised this town certain things, In order for him to get those done, he needs to have the people who are going to support him. And you five don't look like the five who are going to support him.
Oh, anyone else? I'm going to go over here. I jumped over her last time. I'll go to you next.
Hi, Jen Repper from Delran. So I'm just here in support of the mayor and him being able to hire another engineering firm. I just wanted to remind you all, I sat here when you were all sworn in, or Mr. Morrow and Mr. Jenny, that you promised you would all work together. And that was a big thing that all went on at the last meeting. So I don't see that right now, that you're working with him. If anything, you're putting walls up to stop what we, the people, voted. At the end, so for me, and I say this when I speak to you people, it ain't about you, it's we the people. It's our town, you work for us. You do what we say. That's how this works. And again, the whole country's tired of all this. Like, to me, CMA's part of your swamp that you have. You go to dinners with them. Oh, yes. Listen, I kind of know what goes on myself. I'm not that stupid. So you sit there and laugh in my face. I understand how you people work. So again, you don't bite the hand that feeds. That's what this is about. So again, the people wanted a new engineer firm. I go around to the town. I talk to many people myself also, and the people are fed up with the crap in this town. They feel as though the infrastructure, this town is like going down the tubes. I've said this many times. The infrastructure is falling apart. You have these people down at the river, the nightmares, and also the roads, the people on Bentwood. I've watched time and time again, people calling up here crying about the floods on Haynes Mill, the Bentwood, the streets, all the problems there, and nothing gets done. Again, this man is coming up with a bona fide solution for the town, and you're not even going to vote on it or anything. Just because, again, don't bite the hand that feeds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'll be a little more calm.
Could you just state your name? And
Yes, my name is Carolyn Seuss. I am the current mayor of Delanco Township. Here tonight to discuss your engineering appointment for 2025. I understand obviously that Mayor Hutchins would like to appoint ERI as your new engineer, but does not have the support of the council. I just wanted to speak a little bit about ERI and how they've been our township engineer since 2013. The firm was appointed actually by a Democratic majority back then and has served our town for the last 12 years, going back and forth between both parties. To me, this is not a political appointment, and the town's needs should be the first priority, and what the firm has the experience to handle the immediate project needs. We've never really looked to change our professionals based on what their party is. Obviously, your flooding issues are a major concern, and the residents have echoed that as well. ERI has been involved in several projects in Delanco that included the Army Corps of Engineers and the DEP. Both of these agencies are who you would need to work with to address these flooding concerns. This past summer, our township was able to install a 500-foot vinyl sheet pile seawall along Delaware Avenue along the Delaware River. ERI designed and oversaw this construction project. It was a very large project, almost $700,000, and it went on for several years because of DEP issues. And ERI was excellent in working with them to ensure that the project moved along smoothly. The seawall will protect the historic Zeilberg Mansion along the river and to ensure that all the homes in the area are protected from the river flooding. We were losing feet of land every year due to the erosion because of the river and the water rising. It was a very difficult project, and we were actually really happy with the outcome and how ERI worked with all of our professionals. They were also involved in check valve installations of various stormwater outlets to alleviate backwater flooding. That's when the water comes up through the storm drains. They designed and oversaw construction at several street ends, vinyl sheet pile seawalls at several of our street ends along the river. They obtained the permits from DEP and Army Corps, worked excellent along with them. Some other project they've worked with in our town, the dunes, they assisted in litigation with DEP and Army Corps to preserve the dunes. If you don't know what that is, it's a beautiful nature preserve along the Delaware River near the border of Beverly Township. They worked with our planners with the Field of Dreams sports complex. They helped with the design of the soccer fields, installation of the parking lot. They oversaw the construction of subsequent phases of the parks, different things that included the park design. They also were involved in one of our developments, stormwater outfalls. They oversaw the reconstruction of a failing outfall structure to the Rancocas Creek. Our town borders the creek and the river. They oversaw some construction at our fields that are along the river as well. They were involved in demolition of a huge property along the creek, a five-story industrial building. Now they're working with us to ensure with the planners that we have a park design that makes sense to ensure that there's no flooding there, that a seawall will be installed. So you obviously see the theme here. They're involved with flooding. They're involved with stormwater management. And they also prepared our stormwater mapping and our MS4 permitting system, which is a comprehensive map that the state mandated, and they prepare our annual permits as well. They're also involved in our lead-based paint inspections, which you know is now a requirement, and our road programs. They've done over 20 DOT grants, CBD grants, county and state grants for the roads, and did over 35 road programs over the years. They're professional. They have timely responses, which is really important to me. I kind of took on the role of the project manager. Our administrator is part-time, and we didn't have someone to manage the professionals on a project level, so I kind of took that over, and I worked closely with them for the past 2 years, specifically with Mr. Fox, and I was really happy with that relationship. He was an excellent communicator. Just on a financial aspect, they're really fair with their billing. I know a lot of times, you get these crazy bills that are inflated, but I always thought they were really fair with that. And they are the firm that is the engineer along a lot of these riverfront towns. They are the engineers of choice. And I think it's important that all these towns come together and work as one, because we all have the same issues. And if we all have the same engineering firm, we can all kind of work together to help alleviate these flooding problems that are only going to continue because, obviously, of global warming and rising water levels. So thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Sir.
Yeah, Jim Fazzone, 306 High Street. Jim, F-A-Z-Z-O-N-E, 306 High Street, Burlington, New Jersey. I'm actually the former mayor of the city of Burlington. Again, I see we went through, was elected official for 30 years. One thing you may consider, and I know that you have your engineer of record, and I think that's a good thing. Sometimes what we used to do in the city of Burlington was give someone else maybe a chance to get involved in certain projects. Just because someone's an engineer of record doesn't mean some other folks can't get some work. Also gives a chance for maybe the new mayor and council to work together, agree on some things, and see if we don't like several. You went through the who's who of engineers when you mentioned all of them, and could be a situation where you might want to just give someone a chance on a particular project, develop relationships not only with some other engineers but with each other.
Well, and if I could interject.
Yeah. You're running the show. I'm just.
Well, I'd like to give everybody their 5 minutes without me taking it up, but we did offer up a solution to the new mayor where ERI would get involved with a piece of our work, and I commend him. He wants ERI for everything, and he's steadfast on that. So it's not personal, it's just business. It's not Republican, Democrat. But he didn't want to go in that direction, which that's fine. He's the mayor, right? But we did what you are saying we have offered up.
And I think that's a good thing. What was Tip O'Neill's quote was, "Politics is an energetic clash of conflicting ideas." So sometimes there's a happy medium there somewhere, and maybe next week the mayor thinks a little bit different. You guys think a little bit different. But good luck, Ryan. I've always been impressed. I like your town, like your restaurants, like driving down 130. Always seems safe to me. But thanks. That's all I had to say.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Samantha. I live on Chester Avenue. You just mentioned that you guys offered up something for the mayor's appointment, ERI. What was that?
When we were having discussions that what we could do is we would keep CME as our municipal engineer, and ERI would get all the sewage authority work. And that way they could start working in town on the sewage authority work. And obviously our sewage authority is down by the river and whatnot. And I thought.
That's okay, so
I
sewage
thought That
authority,
was a compromise.
sewage authority, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, sewer department.
Sewer, okay,
Used to be
so either way,
authority.
sewer. You said the mayor wanted ERI for everything. Question, who is the engineer for the planning board?
Turret Consulting.
And who is the engineer for the zoning board?
That I'm not on the zoning board, so I'd have to defer to somebody that knows who's on the zoning board. They haven't done their
Is
reorg
it, you
yet.
said it's CME, Mr. Polina?
It's been CME that
Okay.
haven't done their reorg Thursday,
Okay.
Jamie?
And who is the tree expert? CME? Okay, so then.
They were the only applicant.
Okay, so CME wouldn't be ousted of the town, ERI wouldn't get everything. And then also, who is our special projects? We don't have special projects, okay. So it's my understanding that the appointment belongs to the mayor. Was there another company that the mayor could have proposed, other than CME, that the council would have voted yes to?
He could have, but we were pretty steadfast.
Okay.
And I will do that in my report, why we wanted to stay with CME, but we were offering up then.
The sewer authority, I heard the sewer
Yes.
authority. So, but it is the mayor's appointment with what is the word? Advice and consent of council, with cause. So, without cause, and only the council coming together and saying, well, we heard you, but we want CME, that falls under the definition of coercion. That's not offering up the appointment, that's not saying that the mayor actually has the right, that's saying this is a formality, and the appointment's not a formality. The appointment belongs to the mayor. If there's a reason that ERI should not be the engineer, then that can be discussed. Can I address Mr. Bolina? Is that okay?
Joe?
What was the RFP submitted for ERI, the hourly versus CME?
Ma'am, I don't know all the hourly rates off the top of my head.
Okay, and that's fine.
There's hundreds of rates that are submitted over, through that process, so
Okay.
it would be hard.
Could you say off the top of your head if one was less than the other?
No,
Okay, that's
no
fine.
recollection. I'm
That's
sorry.
fine.
And without me knowing the exact amounts, they were, except for a LIMO, they were all kind of in the same
Okay,
ballpark.
so then that's fine.
But
So
I-
that goes to the things, right. So, I mean, it wouldn't cost necessarily more or anything else. So I'm not particularly seeing a causal reason, then that takes this again to a formality, and the appointment isn't a formality. The appointment belongs to the mayor. And by saying, no, but this is where we want to stay, that's not really how it works. That's taking from the people, which, as you can see, I've been to these meetings, and our mayor said he was going to give the town a voice. Our town is here. Our town is here to support the mayor. And I will say one other thing that has nothing to do with ERI or anything else, but I mean, it's not very long I've been coming to these meetings, but if you guys could look a little bit like you care about the people. I mean, just a little bit. I mean, Mr. Ryan, I've seen you, you're looking at something every couple seconds. Just pretend like you care, at least. Okay? That's all I can say. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Joan Kerstetter, 10 River Drive. Thank you for coming out, Delanco and Burlington, and letting us know exactly that there is hope, maybe, if we could get new people in there. They built that wall over there, worked with the Army Corps of Engineers. We've been being told since 2011 that, the government takes a long time. So, we're 13 years into this, and call me selfish, and I know the engineers do other things in the town besides flooding, but I'm going to say, yes, call us selfish, because we have to fight for the residents in Riverside Park, because that's where we live. We've been there over 60-plus years, and not much is happening. And as far as CME goes, I have a couple little things that we could look at. When they built that bike path, was CME, the engineer, involved with that, with the county?
I couldn't.
Because, like,
I
that's
know
our,
that was
you know?
a county project.
Yeah.
I don't know if the CME was.
Yeah, I believe they were.
Look at the records.
And like them being experienced with the riverbank down there, they probably should have let them know that, you know, eventually it's falling into the river because we lose feet of the berm every year. And now all any of the landscaping they put down there, the new trees they put down there, the new flowers they put down there, they're gone. They're washed away. That little fence down there, well, there's the water. So like CME should have been a little bit, you know, better advice on that. So again, in July of 2021, the emergency stream bank erosion study was done. CME provided pictures for the study according to the paperwork that I have. The problem is the pictures were from 2012. Well, that was 9 years between the 2012 and 2021. The landscape has changed drastically in 9 years. No updated pictures, like, didn't quite understand that one. The Stewart Avenue project. We went back to one of the sidewalk panels was damaged in the very beginning. It took me coming to the town council to ask, can they fix it? Because originally, I went up to the CME guy and I said, hey, you know, they ran over my sidewalk, smashed my sidewalk. Don't worry, all the sidewalks, all the curbs are going to be replaced on both sides of the street. No problem. Fast forward a year and a half, when they finally get to the sidewalks and the curbs, I go to a different CME guy, and I said, you know, don't forget, they damaged my panel. Oh, I'll have to ask about that. I said, well, I was told that they're going to replace all curbs and sidewalks. No, we're only replacing the curbs and sidewalks of where we removed the trees and there was damage. Well, that's on the other side of the street, so we weren't getting anything. So I had to come here and bring it to the attention of the council, which, yeah, it got done. My neighbors, there's a handicapped woman, her panel broke. Well, she had to go through this, that, and the other to get it taken care of. Well, they replaced it and broke the one next to it when they replaced it. Like, does anybody walk up and that, you know, these engineers were walking up and down the street in this project. Nobody saw any of this was happening. My other neighbor, it's water box, the water meter box cover is that far above grade. Here's the grass, and here's this metal cover. That wasn't like that. You wouldn't want that in front of your house. Again, did CME, those guys are there every day. Most of them are watchers. I didn't, you know, when we ask questions, you know, the one kid says, well, I'm going back to college in 2 days, so I don't really know. And the other guy's like, well, I got pulled off of a job at Mount Laurel, but, you know, I like your dog. And, you know, open your eyes, peeps. You know, and it just little frustrating things like that. The best one was when, don't quote me on measurements, but we're guessing approximately 200 to 300 feet.
Close one.
Yeah, I'm going to talk fast. 200 to 300 feet of the storm drain piping was installed. We're like, they're that much further down the street. We can get out our driveway now. We're moving on. Well, guess what? They came back a couple days later and they dug it up. What happened? CME, or right, I shouldn't say CME, but I'm going to say CME, the prints were wrong. The pitch.
And your time's up, but I have your email.
Yeah.
Right? And that
Yeah.
email, just hang on a second. And that email has already been addressed with all your concerns?
Yeah.
to CME? And I said, I'm going to need a response, and we're going to need, you know, all these things, how they transpired. So I do appreciate your email, because I
Yeah,
got it.
yeah, no, I sent it to everybody except the ones that weren't
So it's
working.
already been sent to
Yeah.
the CMA?
Yeah.
So we do appreciate.
Okay, but
all
that wasn't on there.
All right?
This one, because this was a major cluster. You know,
I get it.
when they had to come back and dig it up, and that contractor, we said, what happened? Well, the specs were wrong. The prints were wrong. How were the prints wrong? Who went over the blueprints? CME?
Okay, they're gonna have to address.
I know, but that, you didn't know about that because I'm just telling you now,
But ma'am,
right? So-
your 5 minutes is up.
Can I have somebody else's 5 minutes here?
Yeah,
Can I
your
get, can I
5 minutes
borrow?
is up, please. Because we have
Who, okay, the other question, who paid for that to get redone?
Excuse me, but we have other people that do want to speak, okay?
Yeah. Oh, here comes the cops, I gotta go.
She's coming up to speak for me.
Nah, it doesn't work that way. Thank you very much, though, for your comments. Is there anyone else?
Hi, my name is Nancy Evans. I live on Arch Street in Delran, and I'm going to keep this pretty simple because everybody really gave you all the information that you guys should be considering and needing to know, but none of you do. First of all, you talked about this is a thing that the committee has agreed on, but nobody here on the committee knew what the hell is going on as far as CME is concerned. They don't know how many projects or what they're working on. So how could a committee make a reasonable and acceptable decision? They cannot. Number two is you said you're working for the residents of the town, but you are not working for the residents of the town. You aren't doing a damn thing for the residents of the town. And number three, why do you have a 5-minute ruling when people want to come up and speak? That is absolutely ridiculous. That's one of the first things, if I were the mayor, I would fucking get rid of. Thank you.
Any other before we go out of public? Yes, ma'am.
Diane Zeeler, 128 Jacqueline Avenue. I just have a general question about your parliamentary procedure, because when I look at this motion and nothing was said, it should have, as far as I know from my experience, it should have been moved and seconded, and you should have had a discussion. So everyone here tonight could know how you feel about what this resolution is. And the only reason we found out about what's happening is because of the people that came to this meeting tonight. So that's all I have to say. You should have discussion down with a motion like this. And then we know how you feel, instead of having all these people have to find out by questioning you how you feel about this, because we don't really know why you didn't want to move on this motion. So you should have been open to a discussion. Thank you.
Sir?
Sure. I stepped into a hornet's nest here, I think, but,
Hang on 1 second. And your name?
How you doing? I'm Joe Samaro. I actually live at 603 3rd Street in Riverside, but I am on Chester Avenue. I'm on the corner. Is it my understanding now that Delran Township now controls Chester Avenue? It's no longer a county road, it's now Delran, correct?
Yes, up
Yes.
into St. Hill, and it goes North Chester, and then it's Riverside.
Okay. Many years ago, I spoke here when Simon & Schuster was building, and there was plenty of issues along with that. I had issues at my house. Obviously, with Chester Avenue, that was a mess. It's still rather bumpy. Are you guys planning on doing anything about the tractor trailers going up Chester Avenue? I mean, they speed horribly, and I feel every one of them that goes by my house, like my house vibrates.
I know that that issue has been brought up and that something the police are going to have to monitor.
Yeah, but
Because if they're not supposed to be on that road or they're speeding, that becomes a police issue. And the chief of police is here.
what do you mean they're not supposed to be allowed on that road?
If there's a weight restriction on the road,
Well, there's not at the moment.
well, but I'm just saying, if there were, they weren't supposed to be on that road. But if they're not violating the weight restriction and they're allowed to be on that road, they do have to conform to the speed limit.
No, I understand. Are you open to considering maybe putting a weight limit on that road? I mean, Taylor's Lane is obviously a county road and more of a truck route. It's not residential, and they could come in that way. Like I said, they don't stop. I mean, it would also help with the congestion at Taylor, or at Route 130 as well, on both ways, the traffic. But as
Something
I
we're not opposed to looking at, that's for sure.
because like I said, I get the vibrations in my house. When they built that Simon & Schuster warehouse, I brought this stuff up, and I guess the engineers came out, and I imagine it was CME or whatever, but they absolutely, whoever it was, absolutely dismissed my concerns. They dismissed that my house may have been impacted. It was my 70-year-old house, or, well, it's older than that now, but, it was settling. Well, my house had long settled by then. But anyway, that was my concern. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Eileen Blystein. I live in Cinnaminson, New Jersey. Again, with the formality of, or the rules that you're supposed to follow to bring up a motion, I think it was very cowardly of you not even to make a motion and then vote no against it. You know, you didn't want to have that on record. You wanted to keep your firm. And, you know, when you took that oath, you remember the power is in the people. And I just wanted to make sure that you are aware. I've been to these meetings a lot. I live right next door, next town. I've never seen this many people show up for a problem, except when there was the flooding. And you really should listen to the people. You should know what's going on in your town, especially if you live right there. You should know all of the problems of the people. And it's really, it's very disturbing that you don't know your job. And I think that you should listen to your mayor. These people elected a mayor, and we stand with him. So thank you.
Thank you.
Patricia Griffith, 518 Brown. After listening to all the different problems that people have had and how long it's taken to get any of it addressed, and it's all the stuff that CME has to do with. And then we hear from a neighboring town that they have another engineering company that can get things done. I don't feel represented if you're not even going to hear it out about having another. I mean, you're supposed to represent us. I don't feel represented if you won't even hear what the other company has to offer, or what, like, you automatically already made up your mind that we're going to keep CME, and we're coming up here and telling you time and time again, we don't think they're great. It took forever to finish that baseball field. It was a joke. Now we've got a sinkhole where the sewer is on Leon, and that's going to be a bunch of money. And then the constant flooding, I don't know how come other towns can get it fixed, and it's taken forever with us. And it seems like CME is the crux of the matter. So I would prefer if that you would take a step back and remember that you're supposed to represent us. And we're here saying that please represent us because we don't want CME. We would like a chance to try something else. That's all. We already know what they can and can't do. It's already been proven. And that's why we're all here. So please keep that in mind if you happen to discuss it again.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Jane Mayer, 88 Stewart Avenue, Delran, New Jersey. To finish with what my sister was saying, Mr. Lyon, Thank you for responding to my email.
Thank you for the email. I do appreciate
Yes.
it. I do believe I got personally, I think 7.
Yes, and you know what? You're the only one that responded. I give you credit for that. I know you didn't because your email don't work, but he was forwarding it to, because I told him that.
I was going to forward it to him, but because he didn't have the email, I wasn't sure with the Oprah laws if I should send it to his private one, so.
Yeah, but yes, I appreciate you responding, and I know you didn't because it didn't work. So everybody told him to forward it to you. So there you go. We had all bases covered. You said you were going to send an email to my sister when she was talking about the stuff. She was up here, Joan Kerstetter, she was up here talking, and you said about an email, and we'll discuss that later.
That email that she sent me went.
Right, but the reason she brought it up again is because the public needs to be aware of the situation that happened. And I can tell you a little bit about it. The prints were wrong. They dug it up again. It was like 300 feet. It was very inconvenient. And you know what? Who was overseeing that? One of the equipment operators said in all their years, they've never had to do that. They've never dug up pipes that were installed. So, and then I'm just going to read a little bit about what one of the suggestions was from CMA, was about the glorified water balloons to prevent the flooding down in our section. You don't have enough employees, public work, to clean off the storm drains, yet they're going to drag out tubes filled with water than when the flooding is predicted. They don't even clean the storm drains when flooding is predicted here. We don't always know when the creek is going to overflow. The last one, it was a fluke. It just came. Mother Nature doesn't let us know. ERI was involved with the Delanco and the Army Corps of Engineers. My family has been coming to these meetings since 2012, and nothing has been done until this year when they finally signed the agreement with the Army Corps of Engineers. But there was, and I don't have the dates, but my sisters do, where Delran Township and the Army Corps of Engineers both dropped the ball on the project to prevent the flooding. The one person lost their house almost because of that. So, but the public needs to be aware. That's why, not just emails that being sent to people, the public needs to be aware, because we voted for you, and it was an overwhelmingly, and it wasn't just for the president, it was because people needed to change. They wanted change, and you know what? Sometimes a new set of eyes to give a better perspective. Just give somebody a chance, that's all. Thank you.
Showing it's working. It's working on our side, so I don't know if there's a problem out there. We'll take a couple more before we move on the rest of the business. Is there anybody else that, sir?
Jack Moore, 133 Kathleen Avenue. This is a bit of a change of pace from the topic of discussion lately, but I think it's one that it's the right time to bring it up. We've had a change in leadership, and hopefully this is something that can be in the forefront of your minds as we continue through the year. When I first moved to Delran in 2017, I looked around for my public library. We don't have one. We haven't had one. The towns around us do. Cinnaminson does. Morristown does. But Delran should not be going to other towns to use their resources. We need to bring a library here. Libraries are community builders. And I think we have a great community, but we can be stronger. And we can bring people from diverse walks of life into our community through a library and through the resources that a library can provide. They serve diverse communities, and with Delran's, thriving communities, Turkish population, Brazilian population, having something like a library to bring people together and share their cultures would be fantastic. They're a great financial investment. A library, every dollar put into a library gives you back $3 worth of value. They serve as a first stop for job seekers, a resource for the internet for our teleworkers who may have lost internet connection at home. Their connection to history. A library for Delran could serve as a permanent home for the Delran Historical Society and ensure our town history is preserved. Libraries are effective third spaces. A meeting space and community gathering space can serve as a resource and attract prospective residents that may consider availability of a public library in their relocation decisions. So it could help our town grow. And libraries also serve as language learning centers, as inclement weather shelters. And they serve so many different purposes. And I think it's time that we need to have a conversation, earnest conversation, about whether a library and the funds available for a library should be spent here in Delran to bring a library to our town. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. One more? Anyone? Or are we good?
Hi, Kim Custer, 24 Norman Avenue. Yes, I would just like to piggyback on what Jack had said about supporting a community library.
I thought of you when he said it, because I know you brought it up.
Yeah, I came here, I think about a year and a half ago. I'm a new resident in Delran, and I came from a town that had a library, and my fondest memories of being a little kid is going to the library for children's stories, and it was just a place that you met. It was a quiet place. As our neighborhoods get a little bit noisier and congested, we have a lot of development around us now, and it's an asset I think that Delran really does need. I'm really looking forward to working with our new mayor, because I did have some meetings with our former mayor, and it just didn't seem to want to get supported. I think a library, I think we need something in this town to feel good about. I think we need something to feel good about politics and bringing people back together. And I see a library at least getting the committee together, having us sit down and actually work for something for the community, for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, unless there's anyone else, we're going to move on. Can I get a motion to come out of public, please?
Motion. So moved.
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moving on with our agenda, we have our reports. I see we have members of emergency services. You want to be first up? I saw some fire folks also. I don't know if they split, but Brian's here.
Good evening, Chuck McSweeney from the Chief of Delran Emergency Squad. Just wanted to kind of give you guys some statistics from last year since it's 2025. Congratulations, welcome to the mayor position. And thank you to the council. Winterfest was great last month, and we were very happy to participate with that. For 2024, we did end up with, we budgeted for 3,300 calls for services. We did end up with 3,681 calls. It's 12% higher than what we anticipated, which was great. We were able to do that. It's averaging 10 calls a day for the emergency squad. That's 10 calls a day. Out of those calls, 546 of those patients did refuse. So a lot of times we go help people up on the floor, make sure they're assessed. If somebody has a motor vehicle accident on Route 130, just make sure that they're okay. So we've been kind of busy with that. We did a total of 21,575 hours of career time, and we also did 396 hours of volunteer time. So we do have volunteers that are still staffing the ambulances, along with 38 hours of training that we did for this year. In 2024, we did our fund drive towards the end of the year. We did collect about $24,000, and we are investing that money into two mechanical CPR devices. They're about $18,000 each, so we have a little bit more money we're going to be putting there. But it also helps embrace the additional scope practice that we did for last year for 2024. So we're really excited for what we're doing for 2025. We are a 501c3, have been serving Delran since 1939. You guys know that we really don't take anything from you guys. The township does supply us with fuel and also the insurance for the ambulances. Other than that, everything else is we're covered through billables for patients and insurances. We do have a global forgiveness, which we do not put anybody into collections, and we do write residents off if they're not able to pay that bill. And last year we wrote $46,089 for residents. So we're making sure that they can feel confident when they need to call 911, they can call 911 and they're not going into collections and not going to be billed for the services. So just want to say thank you and welcome. And if you guys need anything, let us know.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Moving on to boards and committees. No? All right. Next up, Administrator Joe Bellina.
No report this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Clerk, Jamie Eggers.
I also have no report.
Thank you, Jamie. Next up, Mayor.
Thank you. First thing I want to talk about is just a little piece of business Joe and I talked about with the new website. You guys can check it out. When you go on there, there's a new pop-up for you guys to report potholes. Second, I'd like to actually address this resolution, if that's okay. I'd like to see the council relook at this. Obviously, you know, I was voted as to be the voice of the people, and I want to be that. And they asked for a change. I'm proposing a change. So.
Stay stoned.
We've had discussions on it, yes? Okay. Are we going to continue to have discussions?
We're always willing to meet and discuss.
In the public.
Okay. The floor is yours. No, that's okay. I just want to make sure we can reopen this resolution and have discussions again.
We'll talk to Al about that.
No.
Well, it's more, are you talking about tonight, or?
Not tonight, no.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can certainly, the motion, this motion's dead, but you can continue to propose the same term for as long as you want to these guys.
Okay. And that's what we like, right?
Yeah.
Because I answer that. These are the guys I'm going to answer to, so if that's what they want, we'll be putting it back on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next up, Solicitor Al Marmera.
Yeah, the only report that I would have is obviously you guys have some deadlines coming up with respect to affordable housing. Mr. Strausser here tonight is going to address that in executive session, so you're covered there. There was some litigation that was in play that was seeking, one, to overturn the new law, but also to stay or to have delay on some of these deadlines. That failed, so that January 31st deadline remains for the resolution, but you have Mr. Strausser here to discuss that. And then we have that piece of litigation which we'll discuss in executive session.
Great, thank you, Al. Next, move on to council members. I'll go all the way down to my far right, Mr. Morrow.
Thank you, Council President. Before I get into some of the things I had wanted to discuss in my minutes here, I do want to address the residents that are here tonight dealing with that resolution. And you asked questions that are legit. And why, you want to know how we feel. Well, this is my time to tell you. I served on council from 2008 until 2014. I served on the planning board for 12 years. And in those years, I worked with CME. And I know that the job they did was outstanding. I had no issues. Now, I've been away for 10 years from the council. Now, when people say, well, how many projects do you have on? We haven't even had a work session yet. So how would I know how many projects we have going, right? Well, I'm just newly elected. I haven't had a discussion with the mayor on any of this stuff yet with this resolution. He hasn't reached out to me to talk to me about this. I'm more than open to talk to anybody about anything. I don't owe anybody anything. I'm a guy who lives in town. who decided to run when almost 19,000 residents live in this town. 7 or 8 of us decided to run and represent and do a good job, and that's what I'm up here to do. So if anybody, if he wants to sit down and discuss stuff, I'm more than open to do that. But I do not do social media. I do not do Facebook. I do not do TikTok. I do not do Instagram. I'm old school, guys, okay? Born and raised in Riverside, grew up on River Drive. My father's house was built there in 1958. So I know the area well. So I'm just saying, I'm more than willing to work with the mayor on anything, but there has to be a line of communication, absolutely. But not through Facebook and not through TikTok or social media. Call me up, come over to my house, we'll have a beer. Mayor Barnes, we talked before. You reached out to me in the very beginning, I haven't heard from you since. So I'm more than willing to do any of that, so everybody's clear on that. And that's what I'll leave at that. Some of the things I talked about on the swearing in that night, that we, working with council and mayor going forward, I would like to try to get done in town. We have a rental enforcement program that was passed a few months ago. Well, it's time we actually get some teeth and get moving on that. So if it takes getting a housing inspector to get something done to inspect these housing rentals that are popping up in our township. I do not want to see what's happening in towns like Riverside, where they turn into what I call bedroom town, a town I grew up in, and it's heartbreaking to see what's happening there. I do not want that to see it happen in our community. Rental properties lower the home values of the houses around them, and they ruin the fabric of our neighborhoods. And I do not think anybody wants that to happen. So I want to try to get something going with that and getting an inspector, whether it's full-time, part-time. Mayor, when you start to work on your budget, maybe we can fit something like that in there. Also, I talked about working with the police department. One thing I would really love to do is get them a canine unit. That's something that the township had many years ago. Not only does our township grown in population growth from the apartment complexes and housing developments, and that invites crime. Crime is about opportunity. So in order to do that, we need to enforce our police department. So I'm more than willing to work with them and see how we can get a canine unit going. And also, speeding is also a major issue we all have going through our neighborhoods. When I knocked on doors, I heard that. I live on Pancos Boulevard. The speeding that goes up and down my street is unreal. So the police can't just be on every corner, but there are things that we can possibly look into doing and monitoring the speeding in the town and giving tickets. Enough of the warnings, it's time to issue tickets. You're not racing and speeding through Delran Township anymore. Our kids and our grandkids are too important to have that happen. Also, I want to work with the Public Works Department. They're doing such a great job in our township. When I was a councilman, when I first got on here, they were still going behind the leaf truck, doing the old-fashioned way. Well, now we started with one-armed bandits. I don't know how many we have now. Do we know? 2, 3, Jeff? 3. And that's just, once again, investing in our community, making it more efficient, getting more things done. And it makes their job easier, causes less guys getting hurt and workman's comp, which also costs us money. Also, I would like to work on the riverfront area, the Harbor District area. It's been dilapidated for many years along River Drive there, along River Road. We have most of those harbors have been closed down now, but we can try to work with those owners. I know there were some rumors about a year ago about something about townhouses and this and that being built out there. Well, I'm not for any of that, okay? I would love to see something like canoeing, kayaking, passive recreation being done down there. Bring it back to life. I think we can do that. I think we can clean up that area down there. There's also, we have garages down there, what I would used to call service stations. They're turning into junkyards, and they need to be cleaned up, and it's a reflection on our community, and we shouldn't tolerate that kind of stuff. Also, I'd like to continue working on the community park. It's come such a long way from 2008 and 2009 when we purchased that property from a major housing development. But I think we can do some more really good things there. It's a great sports complex. There's a pickleball, I think, in discussion at some point. But I also talked to residents about an amphitheater, something to do summer concerts down there, to make residents get more involved. And they were like, yeah, that sounds great. So maybe something we can do there. Also, the gentleman talked about the tractor-trailer driving on Chester Avenue. Sir, I work at Simon & Schuster. Okay, I've been there 26 years, so I obviously, maybe a conflict of interest, maybe not. I don't know that yet. But I do agree with you with the truck traffic. I live on Pancos. I live 3 houses off of Fairview Street. The amount of truck traffic that goes down Fairview Street, down into Riverside, is unbelievable. Some townships, I know in Burlington Township, some streets you cannot go down at certain hours with truck traffic. So townships can take steps to stop and enforce those things, so maybe we can look into that and work on that. So I do understand your concern there, sir, and even though you don't live in our town, I grew up in there, and I know exactly where you live, by the way. So with all that said, I thank you all for being here. Your comments are not on deaf ears. I've heard you, okay? So like I said, we open up our communications. Like I said, I look forward to working with you. I work with past administrations and past people. I have no problem with that. So thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Next up, Nikki Appiah.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year again. So coming to the comments we had regarding the engineering firm. When I make a decision, it's based on facts. The engineering firm that is being placed before us is something I don't know anything about. I am not a rubber stamper. When I got on council 2 years ago and I was introduced to CME, I had no complaints. So people voted me in to make decisions based on issues that if it's going to be there, we'll fix it. Now, I've been here 2 years, and I still have to find out what the issues, the real issues are that we have to deal with that has to do with CME for me to make a decision. I do my research. Just because, with all due respect, please, with all due respect, all the appointments we had from the last meeting, the mayor had a majority of them. We worked with him. When we are working in a professional environment, it's easy to decide to make a decision based on what's on the outside, but we need to look deep. And I'm doing my research, and I need to know, why is it that we really want to change the engineer? What is the real reason behind that? And that's what I need to find out. I'm not asking anybody a question. I'm doing my public statement. Everybody up here is an adult. And Mayor Hutchins, with all due respect, all the appointments you had, almost 99% of them, we did not go against anything because you worked with the council president and we all did our research and we were all updated. When that issue was brought up with CME, I'm like, okay, I need to find out the real reason why we don't want them to do the work. I live on Stewart. Coming back to the flood, we keep hearing about the flood. I live on Stewart. My house was flooded during Hurricane Sandy, and I didn't see any neighbors to let me know that there's a way to get that fixed. And like I told my neighbor when she approached me, I'm like, you know what? When we make decisions and we have issues to face, let's get the facts and make decisions based on the fact. And there's some things we can fix, some things we cannot fix. When we had the last issue with quote-unquote flooding, I went to several homes and I looked into those homes. The water wasn't coming from the river, it was coming from under the ground. That's a major issue that needs to be addressed. Now, from what I understood from Ms. Pomeranz is that she had information from decades ago. So I'm like, I've been on council 2 years and I never got that information from her. I'm getting information as we go along. So it's not that we don't care about the residents, but it's like, if I'm making a decision, it has to be factual. It has to be based on issues. Because if I'm deciding, it's like you're hiring somebody, right? When you're going to decide to fire somebody, it has to be with cause. Now, I can't just sit down because it's on the agenda, and I'm like, okay, yeah, rubber stamp, rubber stamp. Everything, when I got on council, every appointment that was made when I first started, I ran everything by the council president like I'm doing now. I'm like, I don't know anything about this firm or this professional. I need to get some information. Once I get information I believe that is going to benefit the residents, I make my decision. So we need to work together. We need to work together. I have also offered the residents in Riverside Park that feel free to let me know what's going on. We will continue. We have started to put together a team to work on Riverside Park because that's a bigger issue than we all can handle over here. That is something that's going to be ongoing. The previous council president had me start with Councilman Jennings as a team. We were going to go forward with that, but the election came up. We're still going to go forward with that, and we're going to look into resources that we need and how we can fix it. Everybody up here, I believe, on council live in Delran. So we all care about Delran. And we all care about, for example, I have Ward 1. There's a whole lot of people in Ward 1. So when I'm making a decision, I consider all the residents of Delran plus all the residents in Ward 1. So when the mayor, suggests something, I will do my research, I will ask questions, I will look into it, and then I'll make a decision. But to just say that we are not working with the mayor, I believe we should be, Mayor Hutchins, I respect you a lot. And like I said before, we went over all the appointments you had. We did not do anything to say, okay, well, the mayor's not going to have this because we got to serve the residents. This one, whatever this one thing is, we will work on it. But I need more information to make an informed decision. And since I've been on council, I would say this, it's always good to give credit where it's due. I have not seen any issues with CME. So I will still continue to support them for the residents until we can say, okay, well, CME cost the town $1 million loss. But I'm like, and I'm still going to ask everybody who's here to think about it. What is the real reason behind you wanting to get rid of an engine? Change can be negative and change can be positive. When we are hiring, I'll say this again, when an employer is hiring, there's a lot of business people here. When you're hiring somebody, you're not going to hire somebody because of change. You're going to hire somebody because they can do the job. I am making my public comments, please. I'm making my report. You asked the question. I'm answering the question.
You didn't listen to what we had to say.
Just please let her finish.
Ma'am, with all due respect, I don't want to say anything about how people like me get treated in this country. With all due respect. With all due respect. With all due respect. With all due respect. I know I've lived in Delran for a time now, and trust me, I live in Delran for a while now, and I've been in Delran since 2005. So I'll come back to the factual reasons for not moving forward on anything regarding the engineering. Like I said before, I don't have any hard facts to say they've failed the township in terms of costing us dollars, because that's what it's about, taxpayer dollars. And based on the advice from my council president and those who have been here a long time and from the administrator, we will continue to look into it. With all due respect.
Thank you. Councilman Smith?
Yeah, thank you very much. Just a couple quick things. First and foremost, wanted to thank the Department of Public Works They did a fantastic job with the snow removal with the 2 snow events we had recently. Always do a fantastic job. Also wanted to thank our EMS to do a fantastic service for the community. I didn't know that you guys answered roughly 10 calls a day. That's amazing. So, and especially with all the volunteers that you have there. Thank you very much, and continue to do a great job for our town. Now, I will address the issue about the engineer.
Could you speak up a little louder, please?
Oh, sorry.
I can't hear you.
Hey. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So, we'll address the issue about the engineering. First and foremost, I'm very pragmatic. When we have our engineering firm, they're currently out there doing jobs. If we were to switch engineers, we'd have to pay that cost twice to a new engineering firm. Secondly, from a lead time perspective, there's a lot of projects that are underway. I know that the residents we heard a lot from tonight are concerned about the lead time. I know we've got the Army Corps of Engineer project. It's taken years. We would be taking a step back if we switched out and went to another firm. When you take a look at all those things, for me, it makes the most sense to continue with CME for these high-value, very important projects that are taking place in some of our most vulnerable neighborhoods, especially when it comes down to water. So that's the reason that I did not support the change of the engineering firm. In the report.
Thank you, Marlo. Next up, Councilman Jenny.
Thank you, Council President. Number one, I want to congratulate the fire department. This past weekend, Saturday and Sunday, Lake Lonnie, they were doing certifications of winter water rescues, literally breaking open pieces of the ice, going into the ice in protective suits, and practicing the procedure to take someone out of the lake should they be in the lake falling through the ice. It was really impressive, and they had a number of people certified. With the green team, anyone has Christmas lights that are not functional or you want to get rid of them, don't throw them out. Don't put them in a landfill. Bring them in here and put them in the box with the Christmas lights. Regarding the CME, I'm going to keep it short because a lot's been said, and I agree with most everything that's been said. I support maintaining CME because, number one, of their performance. I've been involved with them for 4 years, and I've seen good performance. No one is perfect in this world. But I make decisions on facts and not politics. The facts are that, as Mr. Smith had said, my big concern is the cost. It's going to cost us to change right now with all the projects we've been working on, money that we've already paid out, and then money that's going to have to be spent to catch up. That's one. And like I said, my experience with CME has been good. I understand all of the emotion, and I understand also that, social media, politicking, I don't really care for, but that's why you're here, and supporting the mayor. I know there are a lot of other reasons maybe why ERI might be a candidate. We'll leave it at that. But at this point, I don't see any reason to change. We are the only council, the past council that I was a member of, that has gotten any action on the flooding in Riverside Park. Nothing's been done in the past. There was some cursory communications with the Army Corps of Engineers, but nothing ever followed up on. We followed up. We actually have a contract. They'll be doing planning, and we're moving forward with that. Someone addressed the balloon-type devices that are available. We've been looking at that, and it's been extremely, in fact, I have an article from Florida, how they've been using Tiger dams for a long time, and it has substantially reduced the flooding. That would be a short-term fix. The long-term fix is coming from the Army Corps of Engineers. As the mayor, Delanco mayor said, they've been with the ARI for 12 years. And I don't think a reason to change is the reason that you want to change a major player in our township just for the sake of change. I will work with Mayor Barnes. We worked together a couple times in our meetings. We discussed this. In fact, the first meeting when I ever met Mayor Hutchins, I expressed to him the fact that I thought the only thing that was important that I think we need to pursue is maintaining our engineering group. And then Tom and I met with him again to discuss the appointments, and as was stated, all the appointments except for one were approved. We just do not feel that CME has done anything that requires a change, and I think it will be very costly at this point, and that's my reasoning for it. And that's enough said. I think enough's been said on that subject. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Councilman Jenny. And for my report, I did put together a quick statement on the engineering change. We do appreciate the idea of exploring a new vendor for engineering. While I appreciate the initiative and openness to change, I'd like to ensure that any decisions we make are driven by clear benefits for the residents and organization. Currently, our existing vendor for engineering has been performing well and meeting our needs effectively. Unless there are specific issues or compelling advantages that the new engineer can guarantee to offer, such as cost savings, improved quality, or enhanced features, it may not make sense to transition at this time. Engineering changes often come with associated risks, such as disruption in services, learning curves, or unexpected costs. If there are specific challenges or areas for improvement with our current engineer, we'd be happy to discuss them further and explore their alternatives. But if the change is primarily for the sake of change, it might be more beneficial to focus on optimizing our current relationship instead. Please know that the issues that the mayor and some of the residents have brought up are either currently being discussed with our engineer or will be forthcoming. We expect CME to meet or exceed our expectations in 2025. Please know that our administrator, Department of Public Works, and Construction Office have full faith in CME and look forward to working with them in 2025. And I can assure you, I have personally told CME, if you do not meet or exceed our expectations in 2025, I'll be the first one going to the mayor and say, dude, let's do it, okay? But I do support keeping CME and having them for 2025 and working with the new mayor. Also, you know, they do some really nice jobs in town, and there's a litany list of great projects they've done. And we all know Delran Community Park is a great park, including Jake's Place, and they were involved with that. The Brown Street Field, excuse me, they were involved with that project, and that's a nice project. Also, upcoming, we have the Hartford Road Sidewalk Improvement, which is from Ashley Crossings to Fairview Street, and we got a grant. They secured a $145,000 grant. That's going to create a sidewalk from Ashley Crossings up to Fairview where there is none. So you have to cross the road to go over to where that shopping area is. Since we've had CME, they have secured $5.3 million in grants for us. Safe Streets of Transit, $1.3 million, Local Aid, $2.6 million, Burlington County and CDBG, $1.45 million, which is the $5.3 million. Also, we do work for the residents. We work for all the residents. And one of the issues somebody brought up that you may not think I care because I'm looking down, but when people speak, while you might not be able to read my chicken scratch, I am taking notes from when people speak, so we can take a look at it and address those issues. So please don't take me looking down as not caring or not listening, because I am taking notes with everyone who spoke here today. Next thing I'd like to say is shout out for the fire department and EMS, the piggyback. I was out there with the mayor for the ice rescue training event, and the practice ice rescue training, it's got to be cold, and it was cold. It's not sunny and 70. They did a great job. A lot of people got certified, and they asked us to go in as rescue people, and we both chickened out. So, but they did a great job. Also to the fire department and EMS and the police, we've had some pretty bad accidents lately. We appreciate everything they do. to take care of those folks who got in accidents and get them safely to where they need to be and get traffic moving again. Also, thank you to the DPW for the job they did with that minor snow event. Also, all the employees, thank you for the job you did in 2024. Hopefully, they have a great 2025. We do appreciate our public employees. A lot of times, they go unrecognized and they're unsung heroes, but we do appreciate that. And listen, we all, from the beginning, we said we'd work with the new mayor, and listen, that all the appointments and whatnot. And we're very, very fortunate that we got RFPs from a lot of competent professionals, okay? No disrespect to Al or your law firm or whatnot. It's a great law firm. My union dealt with him back when I was still working and wasn't retired. Marmero Law was not my first choice for the law firm, but you know what? It was the mayor's. And I talked to counsel and I said, it's a good, reputable law firm. They're going to do a really good job for us. So let's go with Marmero Law. Same thing with the conflict attorney. Okay? Wasn't my first choice. But the conflict attorney, it's a reputable law firm. They'll do a good job. So it's not like we're up here just saying, giving them the Heisman. We're not. Okay? So, but the one thing that we did say, and we have agreed to disagree on, is we're pretty resolute with keeping CME for 2025. There's nothing that says we have to keep them going forward. And they are on notice, hey, listen, we think you do a great job. You need to continue to do a great job. And where these shortfalls are and what's being brought up, you're going to need to address this shit, all right? So we'll come up with a resolution. I promise you we're going to take a look at it. Already some of the things that people emailed me have been sent over to the engineering firm, and we'll have those discussions in those meetings. So with that, that's the end of my report. And what we need now is a motion to go into executive session, Resolution 2025-40, to discuss attorney-client privilege, affordable housing, and litigation, Jody Klein versus Delran Township. Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion.
Can I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're in executive session. We are not anticipating any kind of action from executive session, but we will come back out after executive session, open back up, and close the meeting. All right, we're back. Can I get a motion to come out of executive session? So moved. Got a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up, I need a motion to adjourn. Motion.
Do we not have a public?
Can I have a second on that?
Excuse me,
We already had it.
that was, I believe, thought for just the,
That was part of
I would
public
like to
comment.
address Mrs. Abiadu. She used my name, I want to address her.
Do we have a second to adjourn?
I made the second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
I'll talk